Good afternoon, Founder Chairman Ms. Anand, Anand Supervisory Board Chairperson, Ms. Anjali Singh, our distinguished advisors, Mr. Prasad, Mr. Babu Matthew, my dear friends and colleagues from Anand. We just saw really one of the very important Anand tenets in practice as to how we enhance our human capital. Anand Leadership Development Program, as you just heard, in its current form, that got initiated almost around 10 years ago. But somebody like me, who's been part of the group for the last 36 years, has seen it in practice in a little more informal way, right from the beginning of my career, almost 36 years ago, 1976. I've had the good fortune of being informally coached by many senior managers, executives, advisors, and not to really miss, of course, Mr. Anand himself. There's been a long journey of coaching and development of myself as a leader within Anand. So obviously, ALDP program as it stands today is very well designed to make our young managers leaders of the future. But I think even earlier, apart from the personal interaction and informal interaction which we had with our leaders and coaches, it was also very definite grooming in terms of exposing young Anand managers to different functions to make them multi-skilled within the same company, expose them to work with different companies of the group. Of course, there used to be learning events even at that point of time, which were very interesting events. But part of the learning was also through your interaction with your overseas partners by way of short-term visits. Many of us who have been there for a long time, who have probably not gone through this formal ALDP program, they have benefited from these interactions, which were shorter term visits for a couple of weeks to 3 months, and of course, as Sunil Kaul will vouch for, secondment to our partners, which were from periods from 1 year to 5 years at a time. All of us, we really got groomed through these various events which really happened in our lives. All of them, they continue, and apart from that, you have the formal ALDP session now, where there's a formal coaching, there's a coach assigned to you who is with you for the last, let's say around a year and a half, and that's how they bring you up and groom you to be the leaders of Anand for the future. So as Mr. Prasad very eloquently explained as what is expected of you as leaders and what are the traits which are very important for Anand leaders, I don't want to spend too much time on this aspect. I come to the second part of today's afternoon, which is devoted to the Anand Excellence Awards. While again rewarding and recognizing our talent and their efforts is very much part of Anand culture, we thought today, like as part of Anand Excellence Awards, we would try to put together and recognize and reward achievements made by people, our people, in terms of implementing successfully some of the group-wide corporate initiatives which have been there. So what are these initiatives which are going to be recognized, and I'm sure I think my colleagues will explain a little bit more in detail about these. But foremost again is where we started from the afternoon, which is again enhancement of human capital. So one aspect of it you already saw, that is the recognition and encouragement through the ALDP program. The other aspect we felt was to continue to assess ourselves as to how we stand in terms of our human practices. And this aspect, almost around 10 years ago, I would say at least 2003 or 2009, we thought we would be able to best reflect and assess through the Great Places to Work survey. And we as an organization decided to join this GPTW surveys way back in 2003. The very first year as a group, when we applied for, our group got selected as one of the companies amongst the top 25. We were the only manufacturing company to be recognized as a great place to work in the year 2003 or 2004, I don't remember which, Bulla will remember that. And this award got repeated the very next year. We were still in the top 50 or top 25 in the very next year, till they changed the criteria to recognize individual companies. And since that time, 3 of our companies, or rather 2 of our companies, Mando twice and Gabriel last year amongst the automotive companies, again won this award. So we thought that this would be a very, very good way of assessing in different areas how do we stand, how our human resource practices are keeping pace with changing times. Obviously, as part of the GPTW overall assessment, 3 things are very, very important. One is, of course, as we saw in many of the slides here, trust. And when we talk about trust, we talk about mutual trust. It's obviously the trust which Anand people repose in Anand. It's also the trust which Anand reposes in its people. What are the really components of this trust? How do we really justify this trust? Obviously, we talk about credibility, we talk about respect, and we talk about fairness, obviously on both sides. Another aspect of the GPTW methodology is really pride. And when we say pride, again, it is mutual pride. From people's side, it is pride in belonging to a great organization, which is Anand. And it is from organization side, having great people working for us, the Anand people. So our pride in Anand people. So it's from both sides. So that is what we are reflecting in the GPTW, and we constantly assess whether we are really improving on that score, whether we are getting recognized or not. Third aspect of this is camaraderie. Camaraderie is very, very important. We are here to really help each other, have some fun, and enjoy working together. It's very, very important. Camaraderie does not mean we don't compete with each other, that there is no healthy competition with each other. Certainly, we want our companies and our people to excel themselves, to really look towards their colleagues and say how we can do better. This sense of competition is inbuilt in camaraderie. But when you're showing camaraderie, you're not really going to be fighting over who goes ahead and trying to pull their leg so that they stay behind. You are going to have fair competition, and may the best person win, lady or gent. So that's very, very important. So these 3 elements are recognized in GPTW. So today we thought that we must really recognize our companies which are excelling in GPTW, somebody which has done the best, and a company or plant which has done the most improvement. So we are giving 2 awards today relating to this aspect of enhancement of human capital. Now, because enhancement of human capital is again one of the corporate-led initiatives. It's been there right from the last 36 years I've seen, but I'm sure right from 51 years, 52 years of this group when it was set up in 1961. Also, there are a couple of awards we thought we should really institute. We already have some in terms of best plant or best company, but we thought we should really go a little bit deeper down and recognize achievements in excellence in manufacturing in various areas. Again, when I talk about excellence in manufacturing, our group predominantly is a manufacturing entity, and while our service entity, which is Sujan, is also growing significantly. But I think we thought it was a little premature to institute an award, let's say for the best site in Sujan. I'm sure once they add a few more sites in a few years' time, we will also see the best Sujan property, that kind of an award, but we thought it was a little bit premature. So we have awards for excellence in manufacturing. Excellence in manufacturing is also important because this is the only way in today's very competitive times to provide a sustenance to our margins. As all of you are aware how hard it has become to really not only get business from our customers in today's recessionary times, but also really to preserve our margins. It's very, very difficult to get price increases. So obviously we have to continue to drive efficiencies within the organization. We have to continue to drive and bring down our wastages, and that's where excellence in manufacturing really comes in. So we thought here we should recognize and give a couple of awards relating to AHPS, is Anand Hayuka Production Systems, which is, it started with APS, Anand Production System, which was on the pattern of Toyota Production Systems, but again with the inputs for Professor Shiba and Professor Furuhashi, we have converted into AHPS methodology, and that's something which we thought we should recognize in terms of, again, best in class and the plant which has made the maximum improvement. Another aspect of excellence in manufacturing is, of course, VSME, which all of you are aware of, that is working with our tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers, our supply chain, which is equally critical for ensuring a holistic concept of quality. But in case of VSME, already, as all of you are aware, we have a separate celebration which is hosted by our founder chairman, Mr. Anand himself, at his house in Talegaon in Pune every year in December. So we thought that let it be a separate celebration for achievements in VSME. Another aspect which thought in excellence in manufacturing which we must focus on and recognize today and every year is on COPQ, cost of poor quality. Now, as you know, this initiative was started by Mr. Patel, our previous CEO, almost around 8 years ago. And we have continued to put in resources and continue to monitor progress. As some of you would know, when we started out, the cost of poor quality at the group level was anything between 2.5% to 3%, as high as that. And where we stand today, after 7 or 8 years of constant effort, we have the COPQ levels at the group level average down to close to around 1%. So there's been a progress to the tune of almost 1.5% to 2%, which we have added to our margins by way of reduction in cost of poor quality. And many of the companies and many of the plants, Mando, Haldex and few others, they have achieved less than 0.5%. Now that's our goal, immediate goal, that we must really have all the group plants achieving a COPQ levels of 0.5%. We thought it was time for us to recognize COPQ achievements specifically. So there's an award instituted for the best improvement which has been made in COPQ. Because if we were to give an award to the company which is doing the best of COPQ, every year the award will go to Mando. So we wanted to really recognize the improvements which have been brought out, which has done the best in terms of improving on the COPQ score. Another part which again I want to emphasize in excellence in manufacturing is very, very important is the environmental safety, which again coming from the fact that when we say we have to enhance our human capital, we have to also provide them for the right environment in which to work for. A safe environment, a good environment to work for, is a healthy environment to work for, and we thought we must really recognize again quantum improvement which has been done by any plant in environment, health and safety field. So there's another award which has been instituted this year for the best effort which has been made on that. So excellence in manufacturing again is a very important part of Anand initiatives which are group-wide, which are corporate-led initiatives. The third very important initiative which we want to recognize is on creating a culture of innovation. This is a journey which we started with Sunil taking the leadership of that around 3 years ago in the group. Idea was not to talk about continuous improvement, which obviously every plant, every individual talks about in their personal lives as well as in their office lives, but the idea was to recognize really the efforts made towards creating a culture of innovation. Why it is again critical? As all of you know, this is going to be the only driving force, the only differentiating factor between us and our competition. as to who really innovates ahead of our competition, ahead of the competition. Because on excellence in manufacturing, while we can save things, everybody is trying to reduce inventory, everybody is trying to reduce waste. But if we let our minds free, if we do breakthrough thinking, if we do break out of the box thinking, I think we can create innovative products, we can create innovative strategies, we can create innovative ways to work and ways to deal with things, which can provide us a very, very lasting competitive edge. So that is why this very, very important initiative. It has right now not spread to all the companies of the group, but it is very much there now and slowly spreading to all the companies of the group and all the hubs of the group. So certainly we thought that we should really recognize, and there are 2 awards which have been instituted in terms of the best innovative practices or projects which have been undertaken and which have met with success. Let me clarify here that in case of innovation, as a management, as a senior management of the group, we are not afraid of failure. In fact, it's an inherent part of innovation that we must encourage people to think out of the box, even if they fail. And we should actually encourage failure. Why? Because that will really help them to devote their time and energy. So otherwise, if we only reward success, people will not really try out new things. So innovation is something very different from normal improvements which people have to drive. So we are very committed to that. I only just want to just mention to you that at Anand level, in spite of the last 3 years of recessionary conditions, we have continued to devote more and more resources towards all these corporate-led initiatives which are group-wide, which have been unleashed in the last maybe 3 to 7, 8 years, which are continuing. And we are fully committed to continuing these initiatives and bringing more people, more resources, more funds towards this, because this is an investment which we are making. Finally, I would like to once again give my heartiest congratulations to all the ALDP graduates today who have graduated today, received their certificates from Mrs. Anjali Singh. I also want to really congratulate people who would have won the awards, which will be announced just now. Certainly to the people who have tried but not won any awards this year, people or groups or teams or projects or plants, you try harder, and my best wishes that you will win it next year. For people who have won it this year, certainly please continue to do the good work, and I'm sure I think you will really excel and do better for yourself as well as for the group. So thank you very much for your patient listening.